Town of Abington, Oxfordshire Country, 1994. I came to this town with with only 400 inhabitants to support them in an investigation.
4,000 inhabitants.
Oh, 4,000. Sorry, 4,000 inhabitants to support them in an investigation. Truth is that never in my life have I seen something this strange. I won't say your typical detective-ish nonsense that I have seen thousands of strange things in my life. I've seen many crimes, yes, some difficult to solve, but all of them were human. Even if you don't know how they managed to perpetrate the crime, you know that they are people like anyone else. In this case, I don't think I'm able to say the same thing. The truth is that I can't understand what happened. I was called for the disappearance of a man named Matthew Graham. 23 years. Single. The last time he was seen, he was returning home from a Halloween party.
I don't think it was necessary to mention he was single.
He had drank alcohol, but was still sober. Or at least that's what witnesses said. Anyway, this is not something which can be explained with a simple drunkenness. He apparently got lost on the way home and decided to enter the forest called Oakwood. It had rained yesterday, so the ground was wet and muddy. We could easily find his traces, which were leading deep inside the forest. Apparently he walked for 3 hours before stopping. I say stop, but the truth is we don't know what happened then. The track suddenly ended up in a clearing in the forest. And that's all. There was no evidence of struggle, no other trace, or piece of clothing on the ground. There was no blood, no more footprints, or anything else. The depth of his last footprints and the position they were in indicated that he was still walking. No point he stood still. It was as if he had vaporized in the air, with all his clothes, in the middle of his walk.
Well, at least he wasn't naked.
I can't believe such a thing. But I can't give another explanation. The only thing I remember is that near the footprints I sensed a faint smell of rot, like a dead body. However, there were no animal corpses nearby. It is ridiculous to think he suddenly started to decay and became earth. In the end, the case was closed in just 3 days. No evidence of any kind. We couldn't say anything but that he decided to escape from the village. However, while officially there was no more to do, I couldn't sleep in peace. Thinking about what could have happened to him took away my sleep. In my mind, I thought all sorts of theories. Like maybe everything was a plan developed by Matthew. But in the end, they all seemed impossible. I decided to investigate more on the issue. I searched the town for similar stories, and to my surprise, I found 4 more. All young men. The story was always the same. They were all single. They walked into the forest alone, disappearing without a trace. Even more curious is that all of them disappeared on the same date.
I was waiting for the one word that said single, period.
October 31st. But there is more. A detail that completely eliminates the possibility that there is a killer or a kidnapper behind this. And that is the separation of the years. Roger Bacon disappeared in 1924.
Single, dot.
Mitchell Smith disappeared in 1867.
Single, dot.
Jason Black disappeared in 1813.
Single, dot.
And the worst of all, Oswald Taylor
Married.
disappeared in 1707.
And he was married.
It simply couldn't be possible. My curiosity led me to dig deeper. I thought that the answer may be in the past of the forest. Then, when I discovered that what seemed to be a simple aphoric forest actually hid a great story. Before it was called Oakwood or Oaks Forest, the place was called Witchwood. The word witch has huge similarity with witch. I don't even know if I was pronouncing the first one right. Taking into consideration that it is an old name and language changes over time, that indicates that it was the Forest of Witches. Apparently more than 400 years ago, the people of the village believed witches lived in the woods. Why? Anyway, unfortunately, almost all the information is already lost.
Maybe to hide from society.
I guess so. They were stories told in voice, without a properly written record. I just know that with the change of religion to Christian, people stopped seeing the witches with good eyes and began to hunt them. Apparently, the last one before her death cast a curse on the forest, which even today should continue to exist. Anyway, obviously I could not accept something like that as an answer. In the end, I have no other choice than accepting that each one of them escaped from the village, using the legend of the forest to make it look like it was something supernatural. Interesting story. I didn't know that such a story was hiding in this town. Oh, I said honestly surprised. Even if it is a lie, it managed to hold my interest.
Wait, there's something more.
Alfred said at the same time he scrolls to the comments. We read what is written there. A couple of comments call our attention. Both of them talk about some creature. At that time they felt a horrible fear for what could happen to them. Well, the two comments share great similarities, but they could have been written by the same person. There are many others that deny it. Looks like many people went to the forest because of the legend, but couldn't find anything.
I thought that you only read these things to look more cool before the girls,
replied Stephen as a joke. Alfred giggles with a little shame.
Partly, yes.
He admitted it. That was a secret everybody silently knew.
Well, now we have an activity for tonight.
Stephen said at the same time he makes a face overflowing with enthusiasm. What? I asked, completely lost. I thought we were just killing time.
Simple. Let's go to that forest.
Stephen replied without hesitation. He seemed really fascinated by the story.
Are you insane?
Said Alfred, unable to believe what he just heard. You only needed to look at his face to know he did not like the idea.
Despite everything you heard, you want to go?
Well, you can stay home, Alfred. No one's forcing you to go.
Of course, it would be a test of courage among us three,
replied Stephen, full of confidence, perhaps too much. He should relax a bit.
Which one's Stephen?
You mean which one of us?
Yeah,
I thought you were Stephen.
No, I mean which guy was he? The computer guy?
No. Alfred was the computer guy.
Okay. Don't tell me you're afraid. No, why should I be afraid?
Answered Alfred at the same time he folds his arms, making a false gesture of security. It's more than obvious that you're afraid, Alfred. Almost as much as when you have to talk with a girl.
And what about you, Axel? Don't tell me you won't come.
Suddenly Stephen asks me at the same time, looking at me mockingly.
Don't tell me you want to be the chicken of the group.
I hate that tone of voice he used. I will never give you that, I said without thinking, showing a confident smile and look.
Well, let's not say more. Take your coats, backpacks, flashlights, and some food. We're going to the forest.
The forest of the witches? Stephen said, full of energy.
Yeah! Wait, was Alfred included in that? 'Cause he's so opposed to.
We three, I
yeah.
guess. We three said in unison as if we were going to have some kind of private party.
Alfred changes tone real quick.
I know, he could have just stayed home. Not really knowing what we were doing or what we were going to find. 2:13 a.m. We're in the witch's forest. I awake completely confused, not knowing how much time had passed. My head hurts but I can't blame it. Fortunately, the pain goes away quickly, just as my confusion. Soon I come back to my senses. My flashlight is lying on the ground, shining towards the empty air. I immediately pick it up. It was my only protection against the darkness that surrounds me. Then I remember that Stephen and Alfred were with me. Stephen! Alfred! Can you hear me? I don't know why I said it like that. Without thinking, I screamed their names in the dark while trying to find them with my flashlight, but there is no trace of them. They are gone.
He's in the forest of no return.
Where are they? And what And what just happened? I really don't understand anything. We should have stayed at home. This is not a proof of courage. We could be in danger. Alfred warned you. Alfred didn't want to go. I have to find them.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden he wanted to go.
For some
So
reason,
weird.
yeah, that is weird. 2:19 a.m. Little time has passed since I started to look for my friends, and I already can't stand this place. I'm going crazy in this forest. The darkness that covers it is unnatural. It is a darkness that steals your own sanity, replacing it with anxiety. To make it worse, the air is damp and cold as in winter, carrying a strong rot smell. Ew. As if there were corpses of animals hidden throughout the forest. The atmosphere in this place is oppressive. With every step you take, it makes you more uncomfortable. Since I started to look for my friends, I felt that something is watching me, but there is nothing. I sigh with my voice full of frustration. I just want to get out of here. I continue walking devoid of any hope. No matter where I look or how much I walk, I find nothing. I cannot even hear the sound of animals. Rather, it seems they are already dead and rotting. No, I have to calm myself, I said to myself. I stopped for a moment to rest. I breathe deeply, but the rotten air of this place does me no good. Immediately I start to cough as if I had something stuck in the throat. What am I going to do? This cursed forest seems endless. And even if by miracle I could escape and I cannot abandon Stephen and Alfred, I'm really screwed up. Again I sigh, feeling on the verge of tears. My frustration is building up, but I have to do my best to keep calm. If I fall into despair, then there is no doubt I will be joining the list of missing persons. In the end, I decided to keep walking. Step by step, I should get somewhere. At least I was convinced that staying in the same place would not do me any good. Even if it was only to deceive myself, feeling that I am doing something, I wanted to continue walking. Time passes without any changes. Only the sound of my footsteps can be heard. Knowing that as soon as you stop, you will be surrounded by a dead silence is a good incentive to keep walking.
Yeah.
But my legs were already hurting. Suddenly, I hear a crack at my feet. Instantly, I take a step back and look below to see what made that sound. What is this? I whispered to myself, surprised, discovering that I had stepped on an animal bone. I believe that it's from an animal, although I do not rule out the possibility that it belongs to a person. But for my own good, I prefer not to think about that. An expression of anguish is drawn on my face. It is best to ignore it. I have to keep walking. Suddenly, my flashlight reveals something. Without hesitation, I point towards there again.
The kitty.
Only to realize with the surprise that is the white cat. The one from before which made that awful meow, but this time I find it lying on the ground. I hope it's alive. It appears to be fainted and is wounded.
Already depressed.
Then what should I do? Oh,
We gotta pick her up.
pick her up.
So mean to ignore her.
It is best to continue without waking her. That cat is dangerous. It's her fault that I ended up in this place and my friends are missing. But even knowing that, for some strange reason, I can't help but feel sorry for her. Even if it is unnatural, it is still an animal. I then bend down to see her closer.